the small planes are the best ones because they just glide?
Glide you too.
Oh, no. We on the air, right? Okay. Kendrick looked at me and say, hold on, you know you on the air, right? I know, Ken. We're just having a good little conversation about air travel, right, Candy?
Yeah. Whew.
And let me tell you something, nothing makes Bahamians bond more than either being in a government office on a long line, because you know you start talking to each other all of a sudden, or a bike.
They're your best friend after that.
Your best friend after that, you're waving by to them like you know them all your life.
Oh, you get straight? Okay, that's good.
Or being on a plane and the plane says, you was even talking to the person who's sitting next to you, and all of a sudden now what you think that is?
Hey, you're holding their hand.
What you think that is? So Candy was telling us before the show started. Good evening, everybody. I'm Rogan Smith. I think I owe on the air. I'm Rogan Smith. Ed Fields is in here tonight. He had some function at Atlantis. They're having some awards ceremony. So, you know, that's the main job. That takes priority. So he'll be back on Thursday. But we have Tashina Robinson Blair in the studio with us, and we'll be chatting with Candy a little later. She might jump in with this conversation because before we started the show, we were talking about her little voyage on
To Harbor Island.
Return. I hope that was in the secret.
Her return trip.
Child, well, if my people didn't know, y'all done spill all my business.
Kendrick,
We'd be like, hold on now.
No. She said Harbor Island. She said Harbor Island. All I said was
And Harbor
return
Island, you
voyage.
ain't going for no medical condition.
Hey, return voyage could have been from Adelaide to Shirley Street.
Sorry, girl.
Yeah, no.
No, but we.
Hey, I straight.
You straight. She can work for herself. She's in the family business, and she good. No, but blame Tashina. But
Yeah.
talking about her little trip to Harbor Island, the return from Harbor Island to Nassau, and the wet. Because I'm kind of enjoying this cooler weather. I usually shy away from that, but if you're traveling on a plane, that's a problem, right?
You don't necessarily want to be caught up in that.
But
But it was just rain, which was, I mean, well, it wasn't, lightning or, because once I see lightning, that's a different
problem.
story for me.
And so you said y'all was circling for what, like 40 minutes?
Yeah. Well, not circling for 40 minutes, but Harbor, it only takes 15, 20 minutes
To get there.
Uh-huh. And I mean, it turned into like a 45-minute flight.
But you have to tell us with those pregnant pauses.
Nah, that's the funny
With the
part.
pilot.
So
We're going to
the
give
worst
birth to
thing you
triplets.
can
I
ask
want to
from
talk on my pilot.
You want to talk on your pilot? I can talk on your pilot. But let me just give advice to the pilots. When you have a scared,
Yeah, man.
when you have scared passengers on board,
When you
don't-
have any kind of inclement weather and you circling, no eyes.
Speak with confidence.
confidence.
we need to hear
Bass up your throat.
bass up your voice.
Bass up your voice.
So, we
So
have a
that's
little
how-
bad weather.
So hold on,
Do it again.
the mic opened up, and that's what he said.
Yes. Good afternoon. So, we have a little bad weather.
I don't want to hear no
We're going to keep the seatbelt sign
Let me tell you something.
on for the...
What you doing now? All I see is him looking at the co-pilot doing this.
Like, I know what we can do.
Doing like, and then he doing his hand on his shoulder, shrugging like. What you
Yeah,
telling
like
these
this a
people?
toss up right now. Let's...
We can lie, we can not. We might not.
We might make it, we may make I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, speak with a little bit more confidence.
Yeah,
For the passengers, man.
because plenty of Bahamians here to fly, you know.
Plenty.
You want- you
no,
want-
I don't like to fly these little family island routes.
yes.
The little planes. I don't
Yeah,
care
man.
what
I
they
don't.
say.
I'm always nervous. I always
I'm
pray
not
to
a scary
Jesus.
flyer,
I'm
but-
not with those little family island
Yeah.
trips. Grand Bahama, I cool, but the plane to the other islands, they too tiny, man.
Yeah,
and then you like
those
you.
Yeah.
those ones.
I 5'3", and you still feeling cramped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
like those. And then I've heard what you said. Like, they'll say like the smaller planes are better in those situations
that's
because they
what
can
they
glide.
say.
Child, I think I need as many people to go down.
I tell you all,
Like
I
that
was
to
sitting
go.
on the bag on my seat of luggage when I was going.
That's a problem.
That's how small I wasn't. I was not.
No.
I'm not gonna. I wasn't. I
You're
was
just
in
joking.
I was in the very back
Yeah, that was
by the
intentional.
baggage hatch.
That was intentional.
What was that?
Did they seat you there, or you just
No,
went?
well, that was the seat that I got. I mean,
Oh,
it was a
okay.
full flight.
Yeah.
All 11 of us were there.
No.
So,
I like to fly, and I don't mind. Like some people, like their heart sinks when they do like the little dip.
Ooh,
I
my
like
whole
that part.
belly,
If
no.
it's like a speed bump in the sky. So I like that.
I don't like that.
I like that, but I don't like when the pilot comes over. Like where was I going to Texas, I believe, and the pilot said we were stopping in Miami first, but they had some thunderstorms on the ground, and he said, "Well, we can't turn back to Nassau. we have 30 minutes worth of fuel, so we're just going to fly around until we can land. So
I'm about to say TMI.
So now,
Keep
so
that to
now what you
yourself.
need to do when they say 30 minutes worth of fuel, so you automatically start looking at your
Time
watch.
ticking, boy.
So I see it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 25 minutes. He said, we're going to attempt to get. I said, you better get this attempted, because you can't go back now, so now.
I wasn't even gonna say that.
Boy, don't tell me certain things. Just say we're gonna fly around till we get to the ground.
That's too much.
No, but Tashina, it's good to have you back on the show.
Thanks.
You and Erica did a fantastic job holding it down while I was out, so I really appreciate it. How was your new year?
Pretty good.
Yeah? Made any resolutions?
Not really.
Child,
You
this
said
that's done February. People done break them.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think so? No,
I
the
think it's
health
a little
kick's still going
follow
off at the gym and stuff like that.
That's wavering.
That's way
February, not yet, man. This January 30th. Give it
I
until
don't
March.
know.
Like Easter?
March will be
Oh,
the
long
March
gone.
8th.
litmus
Give it the
test.
first quarter. Okay.
Yeah.
we could go down to April and see what happened. But lots of news, obviously, generating out of the United States. We're talking about Trump's ban. You know, Trump is my boy, but I know
Big guy's president.
That's me and big guy's president. That's you, the president too. I know what alternative president y'all got. But before we even get to Trump, we want to talk about this terrorist claim that sparks this outrage. We're talking about this MSNBC contributor, Malcolm Nance's claim that ISIS has dozens of members from the Bahamas, Brazil, and Trinidad, and obviously that set a few people off because. Last thing you want to hear, got no terrorists in the Bahamas.
Nance got carried away.
He got emotional.
He just got carried away when you on a radio station and you thinking nobody's listening from.
Oh, he couldn't possibly
in
be
terms
thinking
of
that.
Bahamians ain't listening to this.
He is a fool if
He
he thinks
thinking
that.
he was gonna fly
He's
under
so
the
isolated.
radar with that comment.
And to call out so many countries' names and
But
there's,
yes,
you don't have
but
any
this,
proof.
this is how they thinking. Trinidad, Bahamas. Oh, they ain't
got no
listening to
TV.
us. They ain't listening to us.
And he's some intelligence expert of like 35 years or whatnot. But I'll let everybody, because there's some people who still have not heard his comments. So Kendrick, you can play that so they can hear that. So like I said, Nance is a former intelligence officer. He has since apologized.
Who is not very intelligent.
He's not very intelligent. Well put. He has since apologized on his Twitter feed after a Bahamian pointed some things out to him. You see, you can come and make pronouncements, but you need to have your facts substantiated. And so, Fred Mitchell, one thing I can say about him, he don't play.
Oh, Fred
so
Mitchell's be on the ball.
He stay on the ball.
Fred Mitchell's be on the ball. That's one ministry. He doesn't sleep.
He does not
Love
sleep.
him
He
or
don't
hate
slumber.
him. He has
is
a
on
comment
it.
like this.
He is on it. And so he branded it as rubbish, and I'll just read a little bit. He also indicated that the Bahamas' mission to the United States has been asked to reach out to the U.S. counterparts, to MSNBC, and Mr. Nance himself to find out what the source of his allegation is, and the mission has been asked to ask for a retraction. He's already said he's sorry, but maybe he needs to go a step further.
Yeah, he needs to go a step further.
You talking about making a pronouncements that have such a huge implication for this country and this region.
False sweeping generalization.
Yeah. Like, where do you
Trinidad
get that from?
and the Bahamas. Where are you getting this from? Where you understand? For me, he did not think he would have been checked on his comments. He thought he could just say it in isolation and just leave it. Bahamians are watching news from several different outlets in the morning.
Oh, and
You understand what I'm saying? Like you watching BBC, you might be watching MSNBC, CNN.
people stay tuned in.
Maybe everything except Fox.
Well, I watch Fox.
A lot of people ain't watching Fox like that because
I love
Fox is
Fox.
be a little too Republican sometimes.
Well, you know what? I need the balance because the rest just a little too liberal. So I like to watch all of them for my
Fox is be
balance.
talking some real nonsense.
Well,
sometimes.
MSNBC too. Let's not act like one is. Fox has its extremities. Like they go extreme, I should say. But MSNBC, to me, they're extreme to the left as well. So I just need a little bit of balance, and the way for me to get that is to listen to both and then sort of sift through it. I prefer to just go somewhere else for my news, but Fox can be a little crazy at times, but I still do like to hear the little balance from them. But yeah, so Nance has apologized. We'll see what happens in the future, but I'm a little concerned about where we go from here because who knows who's listening, or someone might say, it's unfounded, but you never know who.
I don't think so. I think
just never know.
they
You
called
just
him
never
out on
know.
it so quickly it was like a wet blanket effect. It killed it right there.
I don't know. You just never know with these things. You just never know. You know, when people are embarrassed on that level now, and he's a former intelligence officer, you never know if they're just going to try and dig up something to say, well, let's look a little bit into it. I don't know,
because I think he realized he sounds stupid.
I don't know. I mean, he's apologized because of the fierce backlash so immediately, but I don't know.
No, we'll think he thought he could have fly under the radar with that remark.
But I know this much. That's my phone. Bahamian Twitter dragged him to the depths of the ocean after his pronouncements.
Rightly so.
Okay, so this is my cell phone. Okay, so my apologies.
I'm trying to figure out what the hell I was saying.
He has a little Asian accent, and he told me to talk to my sister. She calling, but I don't think that's my sister calling.
Well, see, good thing it was in your what our boy name?
Who
we love all his songs.
Yeah.
Bishop.
Oh, Lawrence Road.
Oh yes. Oh, good thing it was in the Prophet singing.
Boy,
I'd had to do my dance.
It is well with my. But you know what? Thanks for that advice, because now I'm going to get that. That's going to be my new ringtone. I love his version. No, but what were your thoughts about this Trump ban? You know, obviously this is making a lot of news. He's barred travelers from 7 countries traveling or entering the United States. It's caused a lot of backlash from people who believe it's a Muslim ban.
I don't disagree, though. For now, I need to see where he's going with this. Like, okay, you stopped this for what, 120 days? How long he stopped it for?
What is it, 90, 120 days? It's a few months.
He stopped it. So let's see what's going to happen in the aftermath.
Okay. I understand his need to secure his borders, but I feel like there was a complete disregard for a lot of people. You have green card holders who are residents in the United States, have their homes there, they're working there. They made trips abroad to probably see their family members and friends, and they couldn't even enter the country. Do you realize that? Mm-hmm. How are you going to make such a declaration?
But what are the numbers
and then you don't
that we're talking about who are impacted by it?
It doesn't matter if it's one person, Tashina, because if I'm that one person, and there were a multitude of people who were coming forward saying they were stuck at the airport, they were being turned back into Yemen, all these different countries. The fact of the matter is, I live and work in the United States. I have legal permanent residency in the United States.
Okay, and
I'm being refused entry into the U.S.
Maybe he should have given a pronouncement or a time frame to say, okay, on this date, get your head back to the U.S. because we banning travel. You understand what I'm saying? Between the countries after this. But I get the fact that he needs to do what his administration needs to do. They want to go and review these people and I guess make sure that they okay. I don't know what his plan and what his thinking is.
Listen, like I said, I don't have a problem with him securing his border, but I think he didn't think this thing through. And the fact that those people with those green card holders were held up at the airport or turned around, that was a fundamental problem for me. Second of all, it's being viewed as a Muslim ban because of the countries that he is preventing travel from. And so people are taking it very personally, and I certainly understand that. Now, what Americans have to understand is I don't think many of them were listening to what Trump had to say on that campaign trail about what he planned to do. Because
Trump
a lot
said
of them,
these things.
He said these things. And
so what's the surprise?
There shouldn't be, is that our guest? Mm-hmm. There should be no surprise. Oh, can you go right in that?
There shouldn't be.
Can you just step? How you doing? We'll see you in a few minutes. You can just step right in that room. But there shouldn't be any surprise by the American public. I mean, even those who did not vote for Donald Trump, there shouldn't be any surprise about what he was planning to do. You understand what I'm saying? Right. They should have known, okay, even if this man comes to office, I didn't vote for him, this is what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But it just seemed a bit ill-conceived. I think he and his team should have looked through it a little bit more before moving on to that. But one of the things, too, I wanted to play is this professor from London School of Economics, Fawaz Gerges, and he's talking about how Trump is deepening the anti-American sentiment. It was an interview that he had on Bloomberg, so we're just going to play a little bit of that right now. And well stated.
Well and good, but let me say this: Trump don't care.
No. Well, he needs to care.
He don't care though.
He needs to care.
He does not care.
Let me tell you why he is so. I don't want to use the word idiotic, but he is just so his thoughts are
I
misplaced.
don't know if he's idiotic.
Let me tell you why it's misplaced. Because you're trying to keep these people out because you're fearful of terrorists. Well, let me tell you something. You have so many sleeper cells inside the United States right now that are being activated. You don't have to get someone from Syria to board a plane to come into the United States. There are people there who are so frustrated by this that they can activate and commit terrorist acts right on U.S. soil. So who you think you're keeping out? When you already have so many people in your country.
Trump is so brilliant. So unless you're as brilliant as Trump is, then you shouldn't question the brilliancy of Trump because he really knows everything. So unless you know everything like he does, then you really shouldn't question what he has.
That because all these, and she's being facetious, of course. Because let me tell you something.
But Trump, the tunnel vision is so extreme, Rogan.
It is.
You know, they were playing that. Whole thing of what's this show with You're Fired and all that?
Apprentice.
I was watching The Apprentice and Trump hasn't changed a bit.
No.
Trump's still operating like he on The Apprentice.
You on NBC.
You understand what I'm saying? I don't really want to hear your opinion unless I give it to you. Candy, what's your opinion? But that's not what I said.
Right.
Okay, so
You're fired.
You know what I mean?
Trump come to do what Trump wants to do.
Exactly.
And his Republican people can't even control him.
Some of them are speaking out against him now. Like they could not hold their tongue. Obama has now spoken out against it. I mean, just after handing off the presidency to this man, you know, he's coming out and speaking out against this ban. It's just like so many people. You got people in London that are protesting against him. He doesn't care.
But this is what happened when Obama. But see, I feel like Obama tried to appease too many people.
And so now
in his second term.
I agree with
so
this.
now
I agree
you
with
have
this.
Trump coming up who's saying, I ain't for these flipping foreigners. I'm not for I'm not bring these jobs back home. Do this, do that, do the next thing. And kind of like sort of Obama caused the Trump to be created. Yes. You know what I mean?
I understand that.
Yeah.
So it's like
I don't know. It's like two parents, and Obama was the moment. I sorry to use it like this, to say it like this, but like, you know, she kind of coddled the kid, and it's like, oh, when daddy come home, now daddy's
so now daddy got to lay down the law. Well, yeah, but then us saying it like that, making Trump seem like he's right. You know, because we say now he has to lay down the law,
right?
But people were so fed up
in the sense of being soft on people.
Right. Trump is just very hard. He's very hard, but he's hard on his positions and what he wants to create. While, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that doesn't make it right.
People who were tired with the gay stuff. They were tired with the abortion stuff.
Right.
Like,
you're either here or you're there. You can't appease everybody.
Because he
that's
was,
true. That's absolutely
this is
true.
my position. They felt like, okay, now I know what I get. It's not going to be flip-flopping with him. You vote for him, you know what you're voting on with these issues.
But isn't this what we always ask of our leaders? That they come in, even if they come in, Ed says this all the time, I don't know if you heard him, Candy, and I do agree with him on this, like, when you want to create change, right? And I'm not saying that Trump is right in this instance, right? But when you want to create change, there's always going to be opposition from people. Yeah. But you got to come in and say, man, I come to get things done. And if they don't reelect me, then so be it. But this is what I came to do when I do it. And maybe that's the hard stance that the tough stance that he's taking, which is, I made these pledges on my campaign. The pressure's on for me, and I'm going to stick with it. Because if he doesn't, then they're going to say, see, this man came in saying he was going to do this, that, and the next, and then he flip-flopped on it, you know?
But again, I don't think Trump cares either way if he flip-flop. Here's the thing. I don't see Trump seeking consensus on what he's trying to do. Trump doing what it is he's trying to do. He ain't consulting with nobody.
You on board? You ain't on board? Too bad.
You got to go.
Yeah. Ain't no consensus.
No.
No, they vote me in.
Right, not you. Me.
Not you.
And I done promised a couple things, so I have to follow through on that.
We gonna take a break? We're so far behind. We can go straight through? Okay, so don't worry, Candy. We're gonna get to you.
Take it.
To get about 9 minutes. We're gonna get to Candy, but yeah. So I don't know how this is gonna play out. I guess the protests are gonna continue in the coming weeks and maybe months against Trump. We'll have to see, because now I'm glad that they are softening. They're allowing those green card holders to come back into the country. There's been some leniency there, but I just thought it was a bit rushed. He should have thought some things through before just.
But I think he's shown us he's not really thinking anything through.
Well, I saw it from day one.
Well, you know what I mean? I don't know.
So now Ken says, let's take a break. We'll be right back on Ed Fields Live. Welcome back to Ed Fields Live. I'm your host, Rogan Smith. I'm joined by Deshina Robinson Blair and my other co-host for the day, Candelaria Thompson, Sumner Thompson. Hey, Candy, I'm messing up your name.
Well, I'm just Thompson.
So you're hyphenating like them gals.
Why? Like who gals?
Like
Why you're
Tashina.
hyphenating? I like your last name, Sumner.
That's my maiden name.
I know. I would keep
I
it.
know I liked it too.
So why don't you hyphenate? Hey, have a baby.
No, listen.
Hubby tell you kick that name to the
No,
curb.
no. Well, no. But my first name is long.
Uh-huh.
Candelaria.
Candelaria Sumner Thompson. That's too much to write.
Yeah.
C. Sumner Thompson.
C. Sumner Thompson.
Sounds like a judge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
We only have a few more minutes left in this segment.
Ain't that many
Candy,
Sumners in
Candy
the
going back to
Bahamas?
hyphenating. No, ain't much of that, y'all. Much
And
of
people
that.
used to call me
Edison?
Sumner. Like that was my nickname sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Sumner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Tashina, you were saying on the break that it's a dangerous thing for this man. Trump, it's one thing that he's strong in his convictions, but at the same time, you don't want to buck into like a dictator who listens to no one.
Candy, 2-3 years into it, people who voted for him, they're going to be exhausted. Because it's certain things you do need a consensus. Certain things, if you're going down the wrong alley, you have to listen to people to say, no, that's a dead end.
Yeah.
No.
No.
No, it's not a dead end.
We
I can see a
go that way
light.
through. I can't stop.
If it's not an opening, we'll make one.
I mean, you make the final decision, yes, because you're the president of the United States, but you do
Yeah.
listen to the people who
Around
know some
you,
things.
the experts.
Who know some things, know more than
So-
you. And like Candy say, at this stage in the game, what you still on Twitter for?
Yeah.
Engaging in
Responding to everybody about
He's the
everything.
Meek Mills of the political world. Twitter
Get
fingers.
him off.
He stay on Twitter. Like, what you on Twitter for? I disabled my account because I ain't have no time and I ain't running no country. What you on Twitter for?
Where's this time that he has?
Picking beef with
must
beef
not
with
sleep.
Meryl Streep. Come on,
I know.
My girl. Don't mess with my
any
girl.
good anyhow.
And I so like her. But yes, he must not sleep.
No, he doesn't
No.
sleep. He have his phone under his pillow. When Melania sleep,
Right.
he right there Twitter. He tweeting me.
Whenever a new tweet about him come through.
He tweeting, yeah.
That alert to his name.
Yeah. So last night you didn't watch we're gonna move on to something a little lighter.
Yeah.
The Miss Universe pageant.
But okay. Oh, I'm
I
so
didn't
glad
watch
you're
it.
here. But hold on. The point I was making is, like, for me, I vote race first. So once they do the top 10, 12, I pull in for the black girl.
She's a you
Right?
got a
Listen,
reference?
honesty.
Yeah, this is okay.
What do you-
Hold
what
on.
do you-
I
what do you-
say
what do you-
I pull black before I pull anything else, right? Then I pull region.
Right. Okay.
So black region.
Okay.
So I pull black, then I pull like Jamaica.
This is for the contestants, by the way.
Haiti,
She said,
all of these things.
Yeah.
I pull for Miss Bahamas automatically, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Then
I
if
pull for Miss
she's
Bahamas,
out-
but once we go,
Then if
so
she's
when
out,
you, when you, by the
I go with I just go with my
semifinalists,
Caribbean girls. I don't care what color
Yeah.
she is. I just naturally
No,
say
I don't go to
I go
Caribbean
by
Caribbean.
region.
I go by
thank
color.
you,
Candy. So that's 2
Yeah.
out of 3. So I go by region.
y'all are the anomaly.
I go
There
by
should have been a
region.
call in.
Then
I got
go
to do
into
a Trump
Africa.
on y'all.
Then I
You
go to
really don't
Africa.
know what you're saying.
You're fired.
The majority of people would have said what I
You see,
said.
so she criticizing Trump, but she's just like him. Then I go
no,
for
man, I
Africa.
go for region.
But no, I was very
go
proud
for
because
black.
last night Miss Haiti was the first runner-up.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 girls, mind you, that they had, there was Colombia, France won, and Miss Haiti. They didn't answer the question perfectly. And that was a sad thing because it's like,
But I
those-
don't know. I don't
watch
know
it.
how they would do. I mean, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of eyes on you.
Yeah.
You know,
I
okay.
care.
For
I-
us,
you
we
gotta-
might say
you gotta-
we
you gotta know how to
home,
speak
or
on
we
your
could,
feet.
we might be
Right.
able to riddle off that, but it might
Because
be
there's
because
no
we
pressure.
home.
Right. It is.
So
yeah.
we might be on stage
we're on
and
the
we'll
outside.
be like,
Right.
Nah. Brush up on your world
I
events.
don't think that would happen to us. But you never know when you underneath the lights.
I don't know, boy.
I don't know. But to me, a lot of these girls have been in pageants all their lives. So it's not like you just pulling Tashina up on the stage and say, go, answer this question.
But then you on that big stage with millions of
You
people
block it
watching you
out.
on TV.
You got to block it out.
See,
to me,
she rough.
yeah.
What was the question?
Geez, what was it? Name a time in your life like where you failed something and how did you recover? You know what I mean?
Again, name a time in your life you
Oh, you
failed
put me on
something
the
and
spot?
now,
Oh, yes,
now you
that's
can
the
recover.
spot.
Well, when I was in high school, I didn't take my studies very seriously, and that really impacted me going forward, Tashina. I realized later on after failing math with a D, it's an ads on my BGCSE, that I really had to pull up my bootstraps if I was serious about making a name for myself in my career. And so when I entered the College of the Bahamas, I made sure to take my math classes.
You out of time.
No, I'm out of time. And by the way, that was true. I did fail my math on my GCSE in St. Anne's.
Too trite. You should have gone deeper.
That's my failing.
So that's
6
your
o'clock.
one little failing?
Yeah, we can get you back at 6 o'clock. We got to take news. We'll be back.
I can feel it when you walk.
This is so weird without the headphones. Are we on?
It takes over me.
That's so
Is the song
weird.
still playing, Kendra?
Rogie, this how no.
Oh, so what?
See?
I don't like to sing
See, Kendra
by
liked to
myself.
jam you.
You try
That's
to
good, you
jam
get
me.
cash.
You wouldn't
I
do this
wanted
to
it.
ad.
You got Kendrick Brady in here.
Kendrick
I like
can't
to
even
write
check
about
in.
Cameo's song. That's I told
The
Candy
special song.
when
I need to
whose
change
song?
myself.
Kushla.
She liked the song, eh?
I thought she did.
I can see her doing that stiff dance she used to with her shoulder up. But
Why you talk?
our friend.
No, I know. Yeah, no, I know.
Candy. Here to stir up some trouble.
But
Oh,
this
yeah.
ain't trouble today,
No, they ain't trouble.
huh?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Like we had you here from 5:30.
I know, right? No, I'm doing well. I had a great weekend. And paying for it today, but that's okay. I'm a little tired.
But you showed up on time though.
Listen, I was up at 5:30.
And that's appreciated. That's appreciated.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
So we're talking about preferences today.
Yes.
And
And
societal
our
pressures.
personal preferences and how do we really think? Are we in control of? I said not in control of our decisions, but do we really have our own personal preferences that are born from within us? Or have they been conditioned, by the world, by society? And it's so interesting. I mean, we were talking about Miss Universe, and we were talking about all these women and how they are. And I'm sorry, this is not a gender specific.
Did you say Pacific?
Yeah.
Like the ocean?
I did.
Boy, when I hear baby say, you
You
gotta
could
be
delete
Pacific.
that. You could
It's live, boo.
rewind and delete
And
that.
it'll be uploaded to YouTube when it's done.
She is a real ad and client.
That was a little error. No, yes, this isn't gender specific. This isn't about women. This is
Right.
about men, women, everyone, in general. And like when we wake up, I mean, do we really decide what we really like? Or is it decided for us already?
Okay, so example, are you talking about like for example, in a relationship as a woman?
No, go back to her original example.
Oh, no. So so this weekend, right?
Okay.
I think I was, I can't
this
say that
one.
word on the radio, but
Wasted?
no.
joking.
Jesus, look where you going.
I don't know.
She loyal.
I swear.
Never candy.
Oh, jeez. No, I mean, I was kind of, complaining or moaning about, I just can't wake up and put on my bathing suit and go to the beach, Oh, I gotta wonder. Oh, Lord, let me see. Let me oh, Lord, I
Shave
get
the
day
legs.
old hair on my leg. Let me shave that off. Let me shave this. Let me do this. Let me, perk up my butt. And I'm like, this is just too much just to go to the beach.
Well,
And then everybody, I got to fix my hair. I got to put on a little bit of makeup. I said, well, we going to the
go to the
beach?
beach?
well, you ain't gotta fix your hair and put on makeup, but you do shave.
No,
But why?
What you mean, why?
No, that's a valid question. Why?
Why?
You're going in the water. Your legs ain't gonna be exposed.
You
Unless
want
wanna-
everything
unless
smooth
you
if you're
them-
going to the
them
beach?
dancers when they come to the
Bikini,
beach.
all that, everything,
So what you have to shave for? What does it do? Does it?
Girl, you just want to look nice now.
Oh,
I
under the
ain't
water.
feeling y'all on that.
But you
No,
under the
yes,
Where
water.
but
the
this
hell
is-
you going to the
this
beach with
is-
your hairy man legs?
But listen, see there, and this is what sparked the conversation about our preferences. Because here it is, we born with hair. We are born with hair.
Yeah, here we
Eh?
go. Relate to the beach. I can be the one who's sitting there laughing at you, telling me you want to get
See, and that's why I have to wake up because I have to think about you and you. No, I ain't pointing at you for real. I gotta think about you so that oh Lord, because I can't have her laughing at me. I can't have this one over
she's
here
so
thinking like,
cute.
oh gee, yeah.
She'd look good if a damn
Oh, that's a cute bathing suit, but
If her
that's
legs
hair
wasn't
coming
so
from out her
hairy.
bikini. Oh no.
But why do we care so much about what somebody else thinks, though?
Exactly.
You know?
But are we going to talk about the natural hair thing?
What's that? It's not only just the natural hair too. Like my thing is, right? When do we get to define our own preferences?
When we're ready to do so, and if that is today, then that's when you do it.
Right. Okay. I just, and this is just a discussion. Like, I just find that people should be aware of the reasons. For me, I'm always interested in knowing why I like this. Why do I lean more to this? What causes me to, think this way? Or and I do that for other people too. Like I listen and I observe, and I when people are talking, and I'm like, I wonder what led them to that preference. Is it something deep within them, or is it because this is something that was chosen for them and they have absolutely no clue why?
I think it's the latter, and I think it's societal pressures, because we start to think about, just like how you said, what that person over there is going to say about me if I do this. And that's just for something simple as shaving your legs. Yeah. Imagine if it's a relationship where you're with a guy that you're really feeling, you're really in love with, but someone saying, but he ain't waking to no big shot establishment. He ain't got no money. What's she doing with him? He ain't got no degree. He's a dummy. And he might be brilliant, but he ain't have a degree. But we're so worried about what other people say that we're not living our truths. We're not doing what makes us genuinely happy.
Right. Like, I mean, for instance, and this was an example, lady, I guess she, wears her hair a certain way, not in her natural state, but wears her hair in a certain way. And she thinks that's her preference. And I asked, is that what you like? I mean, why do you like it? She's like, well, she wants to be versatile. I said, but how can you be versatile when you don't ever wear your natural hair?
Right.
And so that's where, we continued that conversation. And it's like, do you know why you like your hair this way? Or is that what you like?
Like I was saying, children of the coming of age in the 90s, there was not this whole plethora of places to have your hair done if it was natural.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? When we were in high school, like my daughter now, so many children wearing their hair natural.
Because that was the height of creamy crack.
Way more.
I know, right?
No, but true.
No, it was though.
Yes.
It was.
So, even I used to say, "Girl, I'll never wear my hair natural. I weave too much for that."
I think you still say that.
I do. I love weave.
What you mean used to?
No, but again, when you get older, your hair thins, and my hair was always thick, and to see it thinning, so.
Yeah, but you're wearing your hair now.
Now I wear my hair natural now.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
All of it?
Girl, it's Eco Gel.
Say Eco.
I'm beeswax. Yes, come touch this. It's hard.
Your whole hair is natural? Sorry, I didn't mean to digress, but okay.
The same been relaxing over 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because and you don't think now though people just tired, like people are just tired or like I.
But with that, we have been conditioned with that particular thing because our natural hair wasn't pretty.
And I think we have more knowledge. Like you said, we have more knowledge about
wasn't considered pretty.
We have more knowledge about how to handle natural hair.
We didn't know about Girl, I did not know how to get this to lay. And this is my own hair.
Yeah.
How I didn't know what products to put on it.
See, even that though, to get it to lay, right?
Because you don't want it too crazy.
But that's my point, though.
But that's not me. That is a preference.
You see,
like you would wear your hair
big, right?
Big. That's not me.
I like big
at
hair.
my core, I'm
like
more conservative. So I'm not gonna be. You ain't gonna see me with big hair.
But you understand
and
what I'm saying?
we always say natural don't mean nasty.
No,
and a lot of some people, some people are doing nasty. Some people are doing natural nasty.
Yeah, people do relaxed and weave nasty too. Because if I open up somebody's sour hair,
but you gotta open it up.
I smell that.
You don't have to open up, boo. You sit right next to them.
Kendrick, y'all have Kendrick covering his face.
Some weave so
my gosh.
sour. You sit next to someone is a problem. But we're getting too far from your topic, Candy. Sorry,
I can kill you.
So I didn't mean to jump so far, but I gotta tell people sit next to me before I get a whiff it up. The roof of my mouth start itching. You start doing that.
And she'd be sitting there. She'd be sitting there like,
I wouldn't be sitting there. I'll move.
Right. But now that's interesting though. Think about that. Is that really, conservative? Is that really your preference?
But even if I'm wearing
the core
extensions,
of you,
it wouldn't be crazy extensions. Like I'm not gonna put in color. I'm not gonna be you know what I mean? So I think that's my core. Okay. I'm not gonna be extra with it. Ain't gonna be to my waist.
You ever try big hair?
No, because
once you go big hair, don't go.
Rokan is more out there than I am. Because she'll, how you wear your hair out with the band and stuff like that. I've not. You know.
I mean, it's a difference with that. So, I mean, I understand some people's preference. For me, I always kind of give a side eye when someone says, oh, if they have natural hair, it has to be laid down, right? Because I feel like they still haven't fully accepted their hair in all its glory, that they have to make it mimic relaxed hair,
right,
in order for it to look acceptable. I'm not saying that's the case for you, but for a lot of people, they don't.
That actually might be the case. I don't, when you don't really explore these things, and it goes back to what you say,
yes,
is it your preference or are you programmed?
Right.
I don't know, because I never really thought about it.
Because we live in two worlds. We live in the external world, which is society, and we have our own world within inside, that's within us, right?
Yep.
And so it's like, your preference, some of your preferences are, I think sometimes the outside world dominates, and then others, at the very core of you, your inside world, comes out on top.
Yeah.
But I think when you strike, I don't know, like, is there a balance between that, or do you always, allow your internal world to dominate, so that you define things for yourself, but then you also have to exist in society and in the world? And what do you do then? I mean, you can't go on your job. I mean, don't go without any deodorant. You can get sent home. You can't smell eye.
Depends where you work, but some places that's a requirement. You don't come with your arm eye, you can't wake up.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, I mean, certain things, you can't. I guess you can't do, because you work in an environment with other people.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
But this extends even into your relationships. Like, I mean, your preference for your spouse, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, it could be one thing. I don't know. Like, okay, well, I need to marry somebody who's fine, or who get this, or whatever it is. Yep. Not knowing that, really, boy, at the core of me, I just want somebody who is X, Y, and Z. And sometimes you don't even know that until you're doggone at 45. Until you've...
And everything changes.
Right. Yes, and you discover more about yourself, and you figure out, boy, those things really don't matter to me.
Because fine's starting to fade.
Fine, right.
Like,
fine's starting to fade.
And with this man.
Now I need commitment. I need, this guy over here is more, or, your preferences, I guess, change,
Yeah. What are the takeaways? Because we got to go.
You put me on the spot.
Oh, see, Miss Universe, let's go. You done failed. Miss Bahamas, you're out.
Send me home. First flight. Thank you. I'm not in I don't do pageants.
Huh? I say, but you're on the same flight from Harbor Island to Nassau.
I don't do pageants. But anyway, no. I mean, the takeaway, I think, you have to, sometimes you have to pause, or if you even want to, be aware of the reasons why you choose. You make certain decisions or make certain choices. Is it because of what you truly want to do? And I think that takes some exploration, some self-reflection, some looking within, or do you want to continue having the world define what you like?
Right. I love that. Yeah.
You got to choose which world dominates your life, the outside or your inside world.
Yeah, perfectly stated, Candy.
Boom. Go to the top of the top three.
Top three.
I win it.
Your time up.
I disqualify.
Thank you, Candy. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all so much.
Next week, Monday, huh?
Oh.
Welcome back to Exodus Live. Rogan Smith here with you, along with Tashina Robinson Blair and Kendrick Williams. Sorry I didn't acknowledge Kendrick earlier. Big guy. We've got Emmanuel Komolafe. He's the chairman of the Bahamas Insurance Association. He's going to be talking about the national health insurance. It's coming fast and furious. Tashina asked, I asked Mr. Komolafe, what do we call you? We call you Emmanuel or Mr. Komolafe? And so Tashina jumps in and says she's going to call him Manny. He said, no, what did he say before? He said, well, I'm cool with basically anything. He said, yeah, it doesn't matter. Then Tashina jumps in and says she's going to call him Manny. He says,
no, it's supposed to be called you Manny.
He said, no, I'm not cool with that. So, how are you doing, Mr. Komolafe?
Doing fine. And yourself?
I'm fantastic. So the BIA represents how many insurance agencies?
We have both insurance companies and brokers and agents. In total, just about 30 entities within the Bahamian insurance industry.
Oh,
So we have quite a wide section of membership
Absolutely.
members within the BIA. So
And we're just a few months away now from the phase 3, which is the primary care phase of the National Health Insurance. They want to kick that off in May. I think I read today that they delayed it a bit to May. But still, there are a lot of people in the private sector who have reservations about this NHI, serious concerns about the government's ability to manage the scheme. So I want to start there with you. How much confidence do you have, if at all, in the government's ability to manage this scheme?
I think the whole discussion about NHI has been going on for quite some time now. I think even decades, so to speak. And when we started this debate, I think if you don't mind, let me go back a little
Sure.
bit to talk about the whole discussion about NHI. When we started this debate, we were talking about the need for comprehensive healthcare reform.
Which you're not opposed to.
No, we're not opposed to comprehensive because I think it's something that we all agree is needed in the Bahamas. And the whole concept of universal healthcare is a progressive social initiative. And that's why you'll have a lot of countries sign on to it at the United Nations. And also globally, you see countries moving in this direction. So it's a positive idea, and it's something that every country should move towards. The question is, how do you do it? It's not so much a if and when, because it's often said, there's a popular saying that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.
Right.
And we've been on this journey for quite some time in the Bahamas. To suggest that we have no system of universal healthcare, I think, will be wrong, because we have a system that is in need of more efficiency and being more effective.
Absolutely.
We need improvements in the public healthcare system in particular. But to suggest that we don't have anything, I think, would not be fair. And so when we began this discussion, we said we need comprehensive healthcare reform. We talked about looking at it from a financial perspective, but also other ministries as well, because a lot of people talk about health is wealth. But even going beyond that is the goods and the foods and what we consume and also is impacting the nation. And so
Right.
we're saying even your fiscal policy when it comes to taxation on healthcare, on health insurance, on healthy goods, organic goods, foods, fruits and vegetables, the things that actually prevent us from falling sick in the first place are things we should focus on. Then when I talk about the fiscal policy, with the implementation of value-added tax, VAT was put on healthcare
Yeah.
as well as private health
I
insurance.
always had a problem with
If
that.
we are trying to increase access to healthcare, one person to actually access healthcare in an affordable manner that is
Why are we
affordable,
taxing it?
then such a thing seems contradictory. And those were the kind of discussions we were having. We talk about parks, we talk about security, and the involvement of all, even the Ministry of Education, because we have a high rate of child obesity in the Bahamas.
Absolutely.
And so we need our children also. We need policy at education from the Ministry of Education. We need to encourage persons to be more fit. We have persons now, as a lot of persons are aware, who actually have private health insurance but don't go for the annual checkup. We try to run behind them to do it. And so we have to promote that. So you need a holistic approach. Unfortunately, initially when we started this discussion, the focus was so much on NHI as opposed to universal health coverage. NHI is just a funding mechanism for universal health coverage. And so we've been pushing pretty much. I'm looking at the figures. When the figures came out, we said, that didn't make much sense to us based on the data we had within the insurance industry.
Right.
And I think it was in the Tribune Business a few weeks ago where it was stated that the doctors were not particularly pleased because they were being asked to take about 70% pay cut. Now, what was being proposed by the government at the time, their projection was that NHI, the lowest form, the vital benefits package, will cost $362 million. We said we believe it was closer to $1 billion. But when you look at a few weeks ago and the leaked report to Tribune Business, we suggested that doctors were being expected to take about 70% pay cut. You can understand where those figures may have come from. But when we said that at the time, person thought we were just talking off the top of our heads.
Yeah,
But
right.
now when you look at it in hindsight, say, well, that actually makes sense because we were you're actually using real data
Actual figures.
that actually was being used in the industry. I mean, the other part of that also has to do with, I made a comment a few days ago about eventually in the U.S. you have what they call cost shifting. So if the NHI program is projecting or proposing to pay doctors 70% less, what they have seen in the U.S. with the implementation of Obamacare, which is under threat right now
Yes.
in the
Yeah,
U.S.,
Trump.
was cost shifting. So even because certain providers, medical providers, were providing services at an amount lower than their cost, they were trying to make up for that on the private side. So they were charging way high on that side to compensate for the lost revenue.
Right.
In the Bahamas, because of the model we're implementing, we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have a dual system. We may have it for some time, but it won't last for too long because ultimately the market forces and there'll be pressure borne on the private sector for those prices to move towards the model established by the NHI program. And so we've been talking about these things, putting it out there. And, when you're having debates about healthcare reform, I think it's something that we should all welcome. There will be different opinions, but at the end of the day, if it makes sense, we ought to have that discussion so that the final product is something we can all live with. And so you talked earlier about the rollout of NHI. When we made the comment about also the other part of the conversation back then was in relation to affordability. So we're talking about the fact that we have serious challenges economically in terms of our deficit, our national debt, the debt to GDP ratio. And Moody's at the time, a few years ago, had warned that NHI had the potential to place pressure, upward pressure on government expenditure. That was Moody's, the rating agency.
Right.
And so we were saying, listen, whatever happens within the jurisdiction vis-a-vis our credit rating will actually impact not just the government, it will affect the people, but also the companies within the Bahamas. Unfortunately, we got an unexpected Christmas gift from Standard & Poor's, and we were downgraded to junk bond status. And so what we've seen over the years is in everything we've talked about, all the issues that we have raised, we've seen actually materialize and unravel. Now, to give credit to the government where it's due, they have started to talk about divided benefits package, which I said, indicated earlier, was projected to cost about $362 million. They've since kind of trimmed it down a little bit and says kind of downsize and say, you know what, we will start with primary care, which will cost about $100 million. And so, well, that was, I think that's a good move in the sense that you've been prudent and pragmatic to say we cannot afford $362 million at this time based on the way the economy is, high unemployment, the fact that we have high deficit, we have high debt to GDP ratio. So let's phase it in, which is one of the things we had advocated for.
But
so
we even afford $100 million?
Well, again, that's a different discussion as to what can be done. The whole concept of universal health care, and I think, throughout this process, I've stated that it's important for us to manage expectations because everyone wants better health care for our people in the Bahamas. This is important because there are people among us who cannot afford private health insurance.
Genuinely they can.
Right? And so it's the duty of any government to actually provide for those who cannot help themselves and help them, even though we should push to have more persons be able to come up out of above the poverty line to be able to afford their own. They can afford it. But in the meantime, you have the indigents, the elders, and certain people who cannot afford it. It's just how you go about doing it. I think that's a question that we've had. So as to the question whether we can afford it, we can afford to do something, right? I think the honest discussion has to be had on what is it that we can afford to actually do at this time.
Right.
And an important part of that is the whole public healthcare system, which is in need of upgrades of certain standards. And, we're talking about healthcare now, primary healthcare. But how many of our public health clinics are actually ready for the primary care rollout?
Absolutely.
And so those are the things we're looking
We
at.
were told that they were ready?
I don't know. We were told that they were ready, but I don't know how true that is. I mean, we have a lot of clinics, not just here in New Providence, but in the Family Islands that are in such a poor state. And we hear horror stories all the time about what's going on at PMH and these clinics. I don't understand how they're going to absorb a greater number of people. We've had this discussion with Dr. DeLon Brennan when he was on the show, but I mean, these are still questions that persist even to this day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And those are the challenges. I think ultimately something has to be done sooner rather than later. The question is, though, we have to, like I said earlier, we have to manage expectations. And we have to, when you talk about having smart goals, things that you can actually achieve, you're also looking at, the time frame as well of what it is that can be done. There's been some wonderful things done. One of the things we're looking forward to is definitely the old medical record system. They had the IHIMS, which is the Integrated Health Information Management System, where I think it was about just over $18 million. But again, that will come on stream around 2018 or there middle of 2018 or maybe 2019. But we're working towards these things. And it's important, however, to actually make sure persons are aware, especially a person who also have health insurance now, how will it impact you?
Right.
Because you have people saying now, once NHI comes into force, maybe perhaps I don't need my private health insurance. And the challenge is, it's quite interesting because I was invited to a luncheon a few months ago held by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to speak. It was on a different topic. I think it was in the aftermath of Hurricane Matthew. And one of the senior government officials made the point that, we need people like yourselves and people within the industry to actually emphasize the importance of insurance. And, I didn't disagree with the person, but the comment I made was, when we talk, they say you're self-serving.
Absolutely. So you need somebody else to do it.
You're saying the truth. I say, well, perhaps you could be that voice or others, and we will continue to speak even the person say that. But imagine a scenario where somebody drops their health insurance with the introduction of primary health care.
But
they realize in two weeks after they drop it, that they're sick, that they have a serious illness. Now, the problem is the first phase, yes, some proposed catastrophic fund that will provide some funding for persons with serious illnesses. But the challenge is now you don't have the health insurance, you can't access secondary tertiary care, but then now you have a pre-existing condition, which means you may not be able to get health insurance, or if you do, your premiums will be significantly higher than what you were paying before. So again, we're saying this, you're trying to balance it while knowing that some persons will say, you know what, you're only looking out for yourself. But I also have private health insurance. I make sacrifice to pay for myself and my family. Like I said, in the Bahamas, it's high. And when we talk about health insurance, one of the things we don't do is identify the correlation between private health insurance cost and the cost of medical care in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Those premiums that are being paid by persons who have private health insurance are going towards paying claims when persons go to the clinics and when persons go to have procedures. That's exactly where it's going. We have medical inflation is the cost of healthcare. And globally, the cost of healthcare has been going up for years. And why is that? Because when you have pharmaceutical companies, every year they come up with new products, life expectancy is going up globally. People are living longer. Because now we have better procedures, we have better technology, we have better prescription drugs, but they come at a cost. So whereas in the past you had to be invasive when you had maybe surgery, now they can actually have a procedure where they don't have to cut you open. Sorry for that description.
No, but
but
it's
now
true. I just
it's
had
much,
that.
you know. But now it's more expensive. So whereas you know, for them actually having invasive procedures where they have to cut a person open again, they now have to perhaps use robotics or just pass a tube. And the next day you could be back on the job. But now the other one may cost $10,000, but the one that enables you to go back to your work the next day costs $50,000. And so even the pharmaceutical companies as well, those medication, the prescription drugs are very, very expensive. Those are where they cost, the premiums that persons pay, that's where they go when it comes to claims settlement by insurance companies. But a lot of times we kind of separate both and we talk about the health insurance premiums without focusing on what those premiums go towards. And so I think that discussion, if there's one thing that's been good for the industry, for the insurance industry, through this NHI debate, has been the fact that we've had to come out to have this discussion. Because insurance companies, industries throughout the world generally shy away from the public.
They sure do. And I would have thought that with the with plans to bring NHI on stream, that we've heard you obviously over many months, but I would have thought that more insurers would have been speaking out and on the record. They do so. They call the Tribune and they'll speak anonymously, but I think putting a face and a voice to it, it adds more to the conversation, but a lot of times people don't want to be accused of being self-serving, because at the end of the day people are saying, well, people are going to be cutting into your profits if we bring on NHI, so that's the only reason why you care, And
that's a good point. I mean, to give credit again to my colleagues, there are quite a number of them that have actually come out to speak during this whole NHI debate. And, we commend them for that. But like you said, there are other persons who are not just willing to put themselves out there for obvious reasons. Well, whether I agree or not, that's a different discussion. But, not everyone wants to be attacked. Let's face it, let's put it that way. But when you occupy leadership position, it comes to the territory. And when you speak and one thing I will always say is this: when you speak in the truth and you speak in facts, you don't mind.
You don't fear anything.
And it is what it is. When we talked about the whole downgrade and the economy, when we talked about the cost, a lot of persons said we were saying nonsense. We were saying
crazy talk, right?
Exactly. But now when they look back, they realize it actually makes sense. Because if anyone thinks, though, that the fact that we don't have a fully blown NHI program that was proposed initially today is solely because the insurance industry spoke, then I think that's misleading. Because if it was possible, if the funding was there, if the impact would not have been so severe, not just for the insurance industry, but also for the economy, then it perhaps would have been done today. But we have to face reality. It's not about being dramatic. We have to be pragmatic in what we do. We have to look at the total environment. We have to look at the macroeconomic indicators before we make decisions that will impact it. It's a good thing. When people talk all the time, we talk about being effective and being efficient.
Right.
And there's a difference. You can be doing the right things the wrong way or the wrong things the right way. What we should seek to do is do the right things the right way. And I think...
Again, we need NHI. Can we afford NHI? And can we afford it by May?
I'll go back to my comment initially. We can afford to do something.
Some things.
Right? In terms of where our finances stand, the persons with that data and information, a lot of that they reside within the Ministry of Finance. They can look at the books and see what it is that we can afford, right? And once they determine what that is, we just have to be honest and say, listen, we have a plan. It will take time for us to get there. Now, in doing so, we will try our best not to be disruptive. And the other part to this is the fact that we are focusing so much on dismantling a system where instead of leveraging the system. And so you can achieve it at a cheaper rate, in a more efficient way, if actually you actually engage in some public-private partnerships.
Right.
But to some extent, sometimes we feel the need to start all of it, start from the scratch, reinvent the wheel. And that's what adds to the cost as well. And so it's, I guess, the way we have to look at it is say, until we have that honest discussion and we're actually willing on both sides, and I say this all the time, from I've been talking about NHI, the physicians, the insurance industry, all stakeholders, and the government, for this to work, there has to be collaboration.
In your discussions with these 30 agencies, brokerages, what is their biggest concern / complaint?
You mean
when it comes to NHI?
The insurance industry, you mean? Now, I think for the most part, we've talked a lot. We've talked about consultation, right? Meaningful consultation, and the concern about the impact on the industry, jobs, and things like that. But more importantly, though, I think one thing we lost in this whole discussion, we forgot that the people who work in the insurance industry are Bahamians for the most part. So they want the best for the Bahamas. In fact, the insurance industry, when you look at financial services, over 98% of the industry is made up of Bahamians. I'm talking professionals, right? People who are world-class professionals. The fellows of the Chartered Insurance Institute, fellows of the Life Management Institute. We have one of the highest concentration of professionals in the world when it comes to the insurance industry. And so you leverage those persons. And so it was really disheartening, I think. There was a report in the Tribune within the last 2 weeks. It was a leaked report to the Tribune Business, where it was indicated that the government had been advised by one of the consultants, a former consultant, that they should only present their position to the insurance industry and don't, in other words, I'm paraphrasing, not discuss with them. In other words, give them and say, this is the position. Well, if they don't accept it, move on without them. That was reported in Tribune Business. That was disheartening because when we went to the table, and I'll tell you this, people sacrificed their time. Professionals took time every week to work out a plan that could work in conjunction with what the government had on the table. And when a lot of our members saw that, my phone was ringing off the hook because they were really disappointed that we spent time of the belief that all the discussions were taking place in good faith. And it was really disheartening, honestly, because they felt that we could actually do something together in the interest of the Bahamian people. It was,
It kind of reminds me, though, I know we have to take a break in a second, of the VAT discussion, though. I think, and that might be where that's emanating from, because I remember there was so much opposition to VAT when that was being implemented. And now that it's been implemented, there are so many business people, Denisio D'Aguilar, Rupert Roberts, who were vehemently opposed to it, who are now on board. And so maybe the feeling is, they'll get over it once it's implemented and they see how it works, they'll roll with it. We got to take a break here on Ed Fields Live. We'll be back. We're talking with Emmanuel Komalafe. He's the chairman of the Bahamas Insurance Association. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Ed Fields Live. We're in the final, 15 minutes of our show. We're here chatting with Emmanuel Komalafe. He's the chairman of the Bahamas Insurance Association. Tashina, you had a question that you had posed to Mr. Komalafe. Go ahead with that.
So for persons who are listening, who are watching their disposable income dry up, because of the economy, they're not getting raises. And now we have NHI coming on stream. What do you tell them to say? Keep your private insurance. Don't drop it as soon as they come on stream, because people are going to be looking to save some money. They don't want to spend $88 a month or $100 and something a month on their insurance. They could drop it just as soon as NHI roll out. So what do you say to say, hold off, don't do that? Because you were saying, and in a week's time, you could be diagnosed with something life-threatening. They don't care. They're ready to take that chance.
I think you make a very good point, because when we had the discussion about value-added tax, I'm going back to this because you talk about disposable income. And I think sometimes we underestimate the impact of VAT on the middle class and the general population, because what it has done is taken more money out of our pockets and reduce our disposable income. When I sat on the VAT Advisory Council committee at the time, and they were talking about putting VAT on health insurance. And we talked about the fact that currently, prior to VAT, there was 3% premium tax already on health insurance premiums. And then 7.5% was now added to that to actually make it more unaffordable or not affordable to the average person. Now, again, I said, like I said earlier, it takes a lot of persons, including myself, It takes sacrifice for you to actually continue to pay those health insurance premiums for yourself and persons who have families as well. And so we're looking at the system here, and I talk about the elasticity of demand as well. Unlike other things where you have inelastic demand, when it comes to insurance, generally there's elasticity of demand. In other words, if you have to put your scale of preference up and you decide, this is how I'm going to spend my money, what are my priorities? If you have to choose between grocery, BPL, and health insurance, you know where health insurance falls on that list. Now, it's extremely important, right? Because a lot of persons, insurance is one of those things we pay for that we hope we never have to use.
Yeah. Right.
Right. But when I've seen, I use this example all the time. There were one of our member companies, not one, several of them actually, they've had cases where an infant, between the first 6 months of its life, of his or her life, spent the medical bill ran up to 1.6 million.
I believe it.
Within 6 months. Now, when you look at it again, how much premiums could have been paid for that infant within 6 months to compensate the insurance company for that amount? But again, the insurance is about the pooling of risk, which means you expect that some persons are healthy, and then you have a mix such that hopefully your claims don't exceed the premiums you've collected. And so with persons having low disposable income, where persons can, we encourage them to continue to actually make that sacrifice because, personally, I've had family members and I know persons personally who have been impacted by one illness or the other. A lot of them didn't see it coming. And in the absence of insurance, you have to be in the public system, which again, I'm very glad I've witnessed it firsthand. All right. And the challenge is that's what we have now. Yes, there are plans to improve it, right, over time. But it takes significant investment by the government. It will take time for us to get where we need to get to. So if you can afford it, you keep your insurance. And of course, like I understand what you said, which is disposable income has been on the downward path for quite some time now. We have income is not growing as fast as our expenses.
No,
That's just a fact.
No.
But the other side of this, another important point I want to note, is that the NHI Act that has been passed now, Section 21, speaks to the fact that persons who have insurance currently, private health insurance, even though they register for, I'm just explaining it now, not the exact wording of that section, even though they have, if they register for NHI and they have private health insurance, for you to access NHI, the NHI benefits, you have to exhaust the same benefits under your private health plan first. In other words, I have an NHI card, I've registered for NHI, I have a private health insurance card, and my private health insurance plan has primary care. That's the first phase. As they go on, they intend to expand it. If you go to the clinic or you go to access primary care, you have to exhaust your benefits first under your private health. And that's why it's disingenuous to suggest that, everyone is getting NHI. So I may have registered, but because so one of our clients, a couple of our clients have been calling and saying, well, that penalizes me because I am paying for both, in other words, because I'm paying taxes, it's going into the consolidated fund.
Somebody else to benefit.
And so other people are benefiting.
Yeah,
now,
paying twice.
In all fairness, though, there are others that say, you know what, I don't mind. Because I feel that's my contribution. I might pay for others.
But if people pinching pennies, they're going to feel that.
No, but the other side to that is persons are saying, even though I don't mind, I want to make that choice myself.
Yeah, not be told you have to make it. You have to do that.
Right.
Now,
and that's only natural because I still have to pay my deductible.
You still have to pay
So
your
it's
deductible.
costing me money. Whereas suppose I want to use NHI first.
Right.
Or suppose I want to use a mix.
Yeah, again, that's the next thing. How will it work with coordination of benefits? Those details are not out at this time. We're not clear as to how it will work in reality.
Because I would have, not to cut you off, but I would have thought that, perhaps your insurance, the amount that you pay to your insurance, if you're getting core services from the government, that you could reduce the amount of money you're paying to your private insurer. Do you understand?
Because your set monthly is going to be a set monthly.
But I'm saying, I was thinking that they would decrease that because there are some services you're not getting under that if you're going to be getting it from the NHI.
Are premiums going to drop?
I'm saying that was my thought process.
That's a very good question because one of the other things that you've heard a lot of in recent times has been the suggestion that as soon as NHI comes on stream, especially primary care, the phase 3, that you can now go to your insurer and begin to negotiate lower premiums.
Right.
Now, this is the other side to the story. All things being equal, in economics you use this ceteris paribus. All things being equal, this will happen. The reality is not everything is equal, and I'll explain that. The point is, it takes insurance companies, even the big ones that have all kinds of resources, it could take them between 18 to 24 months to develop a new product. Now, we in January, pretty much February's here, we don't have, as an industry, we don't have the final primary care benefits package. which means you don't even know how you can adjust and how you ought to adjust your products
Right.
and develop a new one to suit the market. Because the way the market operates, if persons are coming to you and you see an influx of persons coming saying, you know what, just carve out all the NHI benefits. Now, I'll put a caution there, because if you're asking that insurance companies carve it out, you have to be sure that your doctor is a part of the network.
Right.
Right now, no doctor has signed up yet. So if you have a private,
The registration began. No doctor has signed up.
Well, I don't think they've opened the enrollment for doctors as yet. For
I thought they
medical
already
providers.
began that process.
Well, as far as the last time I checked, there wasn't any. Now they intend to start that shortly. But the point is, if you've had a physician, a GP, for say 20 years, and that person decides not to sign up for NHI, which means they won't be a part of the network. So if you decide then to say, you know what, carve out primary care, but that's doctor you want to visit, you may have to pay out of pocket.
Right.
Because they may not be a part of the NHI program. So for the insurance industry to actually carve out and develop a new product that excludes the primary care benefits, they will have to know, one,
Exactly.
the benefits package,
Right.
the final one, and also we need to know who is a part of the network and whether there's enough, because you don't want clients coming to you and saying, you know, why can't I access this? But you asked us to carve it out. So we have to plan this properly, and in the absence of information, it's difficult to tell. The other part of this is people who normally drop insurance are people who believe they're healthy.
Right.
All right?
And then they find out later on. That's
So
when they get the big
you have
warning.
that issue as well, where persons say, now I have NHI primary care, I don't need the other part, the tertiary and the secondary care. I would never be sick. And the other part of that is what we call the perceived invincibility of youth. Young people say, there's nothing wrong with me, I'll be just fine. And so the healthy segment of the risk pool, remember we talked earlier about the risk pool, potentially may come out of the insurance pool, whereas the person who will remain are persons who know they're sick.
Yeah.
Right.
Or who have perhaps a history of illness. What does that do? It actually makes you have a more unhealthy risk pool. And how does that actually reduce premiums? The question that it doesn't reduce the premium because now it potentially increases it. And so you have to actually just say in a vacuum that your premiums will go down, actually negates all of these facts and all of these realities. And so it sounds good. All things, like I said, all things being equal.
It
But
sounds
unfortunately, not everything is equal. Until the details unravel, then we'll be able to ascertain how this whole thing, how this will work. But ultimately, though, I think we shouldn't lose in the debate the importance of universal health care. We've been talking about this for quite some time. We just need to manage expectations, and we have to ensure, because we talk about mortality, right? Private healthcare facilities have outpaced their public counterparts over the years significantly. Equipment-wise, even electronic medical records that we're working on now, a lot of private doctors, once you on their system, you can access your information online, right? So they're already doing some of these things. And so we have to look at it and say, how can we... Now, by the way, the other thing I should mention, initially, the electronic medical record system will only include the public sector initially. So hopefully at some point, the private sector, which is supposed to be a part of NHI, will also join this electronic medical record system. But it's currently, as far as I understand, out of scope at this time. Right. So again, it's a journey. I don't think we have to be careful. That's why I talk about managing expectations. Yeah. Let persons know. I hear a lot of things, people saying, once you get primary care, there'll be no more cookouts and things like that.
No.
The reality is people don't have cookouts for primary care.
No.
They have it for catastrophic care.
Illnesses.
And the question is, can we afford that now?
And the answer
We have
is
to
no.
have that honest conversation.
The answer is no.
We have to have that honest conversation. And if we cannot afford it, what can we afford?
I'm in the middle when it comes to NHI. Like, I see the need to take care of, our fellow Bahamians who can't take care of themselves. I also know at a certain age, my insurance, I won't have access to my private health insurance. And so I think about the future as well, unless you have a very healthy savings. And even then, sometimes that could be wiped out very easily. And then I'm also in the middle, like I said, because I make sacrifices to get my insurance. I try to keep myself healthy, to you know what I mean? And go get my preventative care, that sort of thing. It's just a very funny position to be in, because I do see the need for it, but then I question at
For
this
me,
time.
the rollout date
Timing.
is
Money.
everything.
I think, one of the important things in this discussion is also we have to celebrate the little successes, right? When I was in primary school, they used to talk about brighten the corner, little things that you do, brighten the corner where you are. Don't wait until some deed of greatness you may do, right? There's certain things you can do in certain areas. where you improve gradually.
Yeah.
Because when you say we're going to have this big hoorah, the United Kingdom implemented the NHS and their version of universal health care in 1948. And up to a few weeks ago, the doctors, they went on strike. They're having all kinds
They
of
still have their
issues.
issues.
So it's not going to
It's
be
not
perfect,
perfect,
right?
right.
It's a journey. It's not when you look at races, right? Universal healthcare is not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. Some people say it's cross country. Some people say it's marathon.
Yeah, but we started
We
our
have to-
marathon limping. you know what I mean? It is what it is.
You know what,
the
that's-
economy ain't nothing happening right now. So really, we're not been practicing for the marathon and prepared to run it. We coming in with a little limp, big guy.
But using your analogy, I think in that instance, the first step would be to get healthy.
Exactly.
To commence the
right,
marathon.
Exactly.
Right?
So
But again, that would be
beef
progress.
up the system. Make sure the system can handle the capacity that's going to be drawn to it once you roll an NHI. Is it there yet? I don't think so.
We have ways to go. I mean, some things are being done that we can see and we've heard of. But also for NHI to work, the private healthcare industry has to be a part of it. They have the doctors have to participate in it, and also so that way you can also spread, the patients and the persons who will be accessing across both the public and private sector. That is definitely the plan.
But as it stands now,
You're talking about buy-in. I've visited 3 doctors in past maybe 2.5 months, and they don't have a clue as to how this is going to work.
Exactly.
They're
So
the
as it-
stakeholders, and they've
so
said,
they don't
I
know
don't
what-
know what's going to happen. I don't know anything about this. That's what I've heard
Well, I mean,
from 3 separate doctors.
in all fairness, again, going back, they implemented a few months ago something called the Universal Healthcare Stakeholder Advisory Council. And they invited the insurance industry, the Medical Association of the Bahamas, the Chamber of Commerce, trade unions, the Nurses Association of the Union, the representative for the disabled community. And so you have a cross-section of persons on this council, and every 2 weeks or thereabout, they provide information and updates. I'm just saying in all fairness to the NHI Secretary, they've tried to do that. But to suggest that all the information is out there would not be fair, because it isn't.
It isn't.
And so we have a lot of information to get out, and there's a lot of work to be done. When I know we get caught up sometimes in the dates and things like that, and sometimes those dates, and that's why persons have been asking questions, because they've seen several dates come and go.
Yeah.
But it's difficult. I mean, that's why we are professionals. I don't envy politicians, because they have to come up with this date and things like that. We are professionals. That's why we look at it a certain way. We act based on facts and certain things. But when you're a politician, there's pressure on them to deliver.
Absolutely.
So I don't envy them, and I'm glad I'm not one.
So you won't run in.
I know a fine lady who is, though.
You see this big smile on his face.
so do you have a takeaway for us, for our persons who are listening? Takeaway: keep your insurance.
Well, what is he going to say? Drop it? No, ma'am. Of course,
Absolutely,
keep it.
absolutely. And I know it's
People ready to drop it.
Well, don't do it. There's a man of the insurance industry where he's coming to tell you drop the insurance.
without trying to sound self-serving, I keep saying this, right? Just think about the consequences, right? If you drop your insurance. At the end of the day, though, we also have to face reality. There's several persons who are struggling. Disposable income, like you said, is down. Persons can't afford these things, but as much as you can. And one thing we have in the insurance industry, and we anticipated this with VAT and with NHI, is that we've developed plans where you can reduce your premiums and adjust your plan. One of the companies has ship A, B, C, D. So it goes down. You can downgrade and reduce your premiums.
For children, because it's so costly to have children in their health insurance program.
But what I find, a lot of persons have the, like the Cadillac or Rolls Royce type of policy, and they want to keep it that way. But you can always go to your insurance company, and they have several plans now, and they've reacted to the expense because it's expensive, because of VAT, because of re-rates. They now have, some companies have up to 5, so you can go from like I said, the Rolls Royce all the way down to something.
You could go down to the Central, the Nissan, but know that you got a deductible to meet, and sometimes that's the challenge.
But ultimately, though, for some persons, it's still a better place to start as opposed to having to come up with the full amount.
Yeah.
But you have to discuss with your insurance provider or your broker, your agent, try to find the best option.
Mr. Komalafi, it's been an absolute pleasure. Sorry we had to cut your time a bit, but you're going to have to come back. Because we have some more conversations about this. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Thank you to Sheena and Kendrick. Thank you so much for everything. We didn't need that last clip. We'll get that next time. We'll see you all on Thursday. Ed will be back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good evening.